Shalom, I'm Rabbi David, and today I'm going to tell you something that will completely shake the foundation of everything you've been taught about the law of attraction. You've been lied to. You've been fed a spiritual fairy tale disguised as truth. And if you don't unlearn it, you will never experience real success, no matter how many affirmations you repeat, how many vision boards you make, or how many manifestation videos you watch. Here is the truth. The law of attraction does not create success. I know that sounds shocking. I know that sounds like I'm dismissing everything the world has been preaching for the last 20 years. But I'm not dismissing the law of attraction. I'm correcting it. I'm elevating it. I'm giving you the version that's been hidden for thousands of years in the Torah, the Talmud, and the Kabbalah. The version that the patriarchs used to create wealth. The version King Solomon used to build an empire. The version that real spiritual masters understood long before the words manifestation or visualization ever existed. Let me explain. And by the end of this video, you will never look at the law of attraction the same way again. Not because I told you to, but because you will see the truth with your own eyes. The lie that you've been told is simple. If you think about it enough, if you visualize it long enough, if you believe in it hard enough, you will attract it. My friend, that is not how the universe works. That is not how God works. That is not how success works. And that is not how spiritual law works. You cannot sit on a couch and attract millions. You cannot daydream your way into abundance. You cannot affirm your way into a new life while your habits, your mindset, and your consciousness remain exactly the same. This is why so many people feel frustrated. They're doing everything the self-help world told them to do. They're visualizing, they're journaling, they're repeating positive statements, they're acting as if, and nothing changes. Why? Because consciousness does not attract success. Consciousness creates the vessel for success. This is the Kabbalistic truth that the world doesn't teach. Because it requires responsibility. It requires change. It requires inner work. And it requires alignment, not fantasy. Let me show you something from the Torah. Because the Torah is not a history book. The Torah is a manual for spiritual technology. In Genesis, Abraham is promised abundance. God tells him he will become a great nation. But what does Abraham do? Sit under a palm tree visualizing camels full of gold? No, he takes action. He journeys, he builds, he moves forward. He aligns himself with the divine will. He becomes the vessel. And because he becomes the vessel, abundance flows. In Exodus, when the Israelites stand before the Red Sea and Pharaoh's army charges behind them, they cry out to Moses. Moses cries out to God. And what does God say? "Why are you crying out to me? Move forward." In other words, stop manifesting. Stop begging. Stop fantasizing. Create the vessel. Take the step. Align yourself with the flow of divine energy. Attraction begins when alignment begins, not when wishing begins. You do not attract what you want. You attract what you are aligned with. This is why the law of attraction has failed so many people, because it has been taught backwards. It has been taught as desire without discipline, fantasy without foundation, spirituality without structure. But attraction is not a mood. It is not a dream. It is not a poster full of luxury cars and beach houses. Attraction is a divine technology, a spiritual mechanism, a law built into the fabric of creation itself. And like any powerful tool, it only works when you understand how to use it. The world teaches you to think it into existence. The Torah teaches you to become the vessel through which existence flows. The world teaches you to ask for what you want. Kabbalah teaches you to align your consciousness so fully with the Creator that abundance becomes your natural state. The world teaches you to believe it will come. The Torah teaches you to move forward even before it arrives. Do you see the difference? One is fantasy, one is spiritual technology. And if you want to attract success, not pretend success, not Instagram success, but real, lasting, God-aligned success, you need to stop playing with imagination and start working with alignment. Because the law of attraction doesn't reward dreamers, it rewards vessels. It rewards consciousness that is pure, intention that is aligned, and action that is courageous. And in the next chapter, I'm going to show you the hidden Torah principle that makes attraction real, predictable, and unstoppable when you understand it. But for now, remember this. Stop asking for success. Start becoming the vessel for success. And watch how quickly the universe begins to rearrange itself around you. Real attraction begins long before you ever see results. It begins in a place deeper than thought, deeper than emotion, deeper even than belief. It begins in the architecture of the soul. The Kabbalists describe this architecture with 3 words: Ratzon, Kli, Or. Desire, vessel, light. Most people focus only on Ratzon, the desire. They want wealth, they want success, they want health, they want opportunity. They feel the desire intensely, and they assume intensity is enough. But intensity is not creation. Intensity without structure is chaos. A desire without a vessel is like pouring water onto a table. The water doesn't disappear, it simply spreads everywhere with no direction, no purpose, no container. The spiritual world works the same way. The light, what we call ore, never stops flowing. The Creator is constantly giving. That flow is infinite, eternal, unstoppable. The problem is not the light. The problem is the vessel. This is why, in Kabbalah, the vessel is everything. Your consciousness is the vessel. Your intention is the vessel. Your character is the vessel. Your actions are the vessel. And the light flows only to a vessel that can hold it. This is why the patriarchs experienced miracles in a way that seems supernatural to us, but was perfectly natural to them. They weren't attracting blessings by wishing for them. They were expanding their vessels. They were aligning their consciousness so completely with divine purpose that the light had no choice but to flow into their lives. Look at Abraham. His ratzon, his desire, was powerful. But what made him extraordinary was the kli he built. Unwavering faith, kindness to strangers, humility before God, courage to walk into the unknown. These were not religious gestures. They were vessel-building actions. They expanded his spiritual capacity. And because his vessel was large, the light that flowed into it was immense. Isaac and Jacob did the same. Isaac mastered discipline and restraint. Jacob mastered perseverance and spiritual balance. Their success was not luck, it was alignment. And then there is King Solomon. People mistakenly believe Solomon was wealthy because God simply blessed him. That is not the full story. Solomon aligned his consciousness with wisdom above wealth, purpose above possession, responsibility above reward. His ratzon was not to be rich. His ratzon was to serve, to judge fairly, to lead wisely. That purity of desire expanded his kli so dramatically that awe, divine abundance, rushed in. Wealth chased him, not the other way around. This is the hidden principle that most people never understand. You don't attract what you want. You attract what you are aligned with. If your desire is big, but your vessel is small, the light has nowhere to go. If your intention is pure, but your discipline is weak, the flow cannot sustain itself. If your prayers are strong, but your character is inconsistent, the blessing cannot land. This is why people can desire success their entire lives and never experience it. It's not because their desire is wrong, it's because their vessel is unprepared. They want abundance, but they think in scarcity. They want opportunities, but they sabotage the ones they have. They want miracles, but they live from fear instead of certainty. Their vessel is cracked, narrow, or closed. Real attraction is not demanding from the universe. It is aligning with it. It is matching your internal state with the frequency of what you want to experience. This is why ratzon alone does nothing. Ratzon without kli is only longing. But when ratzon becomes refined, when it becomes a desire rooted in purpose, integrity, and responsibility, then the vessel expands. And when the vessel expands, awe flows in naturally. Moses understood this more than any figure in the Torah. When he approached the Red Sea, he didn't attract a miracle through panic or desperation. He aligned his consciousness with absolute certainty. His vessel in that moment was pure trust. That is why the sea split, not because Moses commanded nature, but because Moses aligned with the Creator behind nature. Success follows the same laws. The universe is not withholding anything from you. The Creator is not waiting for you to beg harder or visualize longer. The light is already flowing. Your job is to create the vessel that can receive it. Because real attraction is not about getting more. It's about becoming more. And the moment you become aligned, abundance stops being something you chase and becomes something that chases you. Wealth is not something you chase. Wealth is something you tune into. Just as a radio cannot receive a frequency it is not calibrated to, you cannot receive abundance if your inner state is vibrating on the frequency of fear, scarcity, or self-doubt. Consciousness is not passive. Consciousness is creative. And every thought you think, every emotion you hold, every belief you cling to, these are not invisible. They are signals. They are spiritual vibrations. They are the energetic blueprint of your future reality. This is not self-help optimism. This is not modern manifestation hype. This is ancient Kabbalistic truth. The great mistake of our generation is that people believe reality shapes consciousness. But the Torah teaches the opposite. Consciousness shapes reality. You see this encoded in one of the most important ideas in Jewish mysticism, Tselem Elokim, the divine imprint. The Torah says that the human being is created in the image of God, which does not mean that God has a physical form. It means that the human consciousness carries a fragment of divine creative power. You are not a spectator in creation. You are a co-creator. The energy you hold becomes the reality you experience. This is why two people can walk into the same room at the same time with the same opportunities, and yet one rises while the other collapses. One sees possibility, the other sees limitation. One moves with confidence, the other hesitates from fear. They are not responding to reality, they are projecting their inner world onto reality. This is why the Kabbalists teach that wealth is not a number in your bank account. Wealth is a frequency, and you cannot attract a frequency you are not emitting. If your consciousness is filled with lack, fear, jealousy, resentment, or self-pity, you are pushing away abundance the same way a magnet repels another magnet when the poles are reversed. The energy is incompatible. The frequencies cannot connect. It doesn't matter how much you desire it. It doesn't matter how much you visualize it. If the frequency of your inner world contradicts the frequency of what you say you want, you repel it. Let me give you an example. I once worked with a man named Daniel. Brilliant, talented, hard-working, but perpetually broke. Every time he approached a new business opportunity, something would collapse. Partnerships fell apart. Deals slipped through his fingers. Clients backed out at the last moment. He thought he had terrible luck. But luck had nothing to do with it. When we spoke, he revealed that every time he entered a meeting, he secretly feared people would see him as inexperienced. Every time he pitched an idea, he doubted whether he deserved success. Every time a door opened, he walked in expecting it to close. He wanted abundance, but he was tuned to the frequency of scarcity. And scarcity repels abundance with precision. When Daniel started doing the inner work, cleaning his thoughts, refining his emotions, purifying his intentions, everything changed. Not because the world changed, but because he changed. The moment he stopped broadcasting fear, opportunities began to magnetize toward him. People who once dismissed him suddenly wanted to work with him. Deals that used to slip away suddenly locked into place. What changed? His consciousness. And because his consciousness changed, his reality followed. Let me tell you another story. A woman named Leah had been praying for years for financial stability. She tried manifesting techniques, repeated affirmations, and followed every piece of advice she could find. But her energy was filled with resentment. Resentment toward people who were more successful. Resentment toward her past failures. Resentment toward the world for not giving her what she felt she deserved. Resentment is one of the heaviest frequencies in existence. It closes the vessel. It darkens the mind. It blocks the flow of light. As long as she held on to that emotional weight, abundance could not enter her life. Only when she released the resentment, only when she shifted into gratitude, possibility, and responsibility did her financial situation transform. Not slowly, immediately. Within weeks, she received a job offer she had been chasing for over a year. Why? Because she had aligned her frequency. Prosperity does not begin with money. Prosperity begins with inner purity and energetic congruence. When your thoughts, emotions, and actions all resonate with abundance rather than lack, the universe responds. Not because you manipulated it, but because you finally aligned with it. This is the real law of attraction. The world mirrors your consciousness. Your reality is a reflection of your frequency. And the moment you tune yourself to abundance, abundance begins tuning itself to you. Most people misunderstand why their manifestations never materialize. They believe the universe is ignoring them, that God is withholding blessings, or that their desires simply aren't meant to be. But the truth is far simpler and far more uncomfortable. Nothing can move toward you until you move first. Consciousness shapes reality, yes. Frequency attracts frequency, yes. But without action, real, physical, bold action, the spiritual energy you generate has nowhere to land, nowhere to flow, nowhere to express itself. This is why the moment at the Red Sea is one of the most important spiritual teachings in human history. The Israelites were praying, crying, begging for salvation. Moses lifted his staff and called out to God. And God said the words that reveal the secret of attraction. "Why are you crying out to me? Move forward." God wasn't rejecting prayer. He was revealing a law of creation. The universe does not respond to wishful thinking, but to movement. The sea did not split when Moses prayed. The sea split when the people stepped. Action opened the channel. Action activated the miracle. Action created the vessel through which the divine flow could manifest in physical form. This principle has never changed. The law of attraction collapses without it. Visualization without action is fantasy. Intention without action is stagnation. Desire without action becomes spiritual noise, vibrations that rise upward but never take shape in the physical world. Action is the vessel. Action is the container. Action is the bridge between consciousness and reality. A person can meditate for hours on abundance, but if they take no steps toward expanding their skills, meeting people, starting projects, or opening doors, their vessel remains empty. The light has nowhere to go because there is no structure to hold it. This is why Kabbalah teaches that physical action completes spiritual creation. You can align your consciousness with abundance, but abundance cannot manifest until you give it a pathway. The universe is not waiting to give. You are waiting to move. Let me show you what this looks like in real life. A young entrepreneur named Aaron once came to me. He had read every wealth book, listened to every mindset coach, filled journals with affirmations and visualizations. He believed in the law of attraction more than anyone I had ever met. And yet, his business was stagnant. No clients, no opportunities, no momentum. He asked me, "Rabbi, what am I missing?" I said, "Tell me what you've done." He told me about his routines, his meditation practices, his visualizations. He told me how he pictured himself successful every morning. He told me how he tried to feel wealthy even when he wasn't. But when I asked him what actions he had taken, real actions, he grew silent. He hadn't called anyone. He hadn't made an offer. He hadn't launched his idea. He hadn't risked failure. He was waiting for the universe to deliver the success first, so he could act later. But that is not how the spiritual world works. So I told him what the Torah told Moses. Stop begging. Move forward. I instructed him to take one imperfect step every day. No perfection, no overthinking, no waiting. Just movement. Reach out to one potential client. Share one idea publicly. Make one offer. Build one piece of the dream. Within a week, he had his first conversation that led to an opportunity. Within a month, he had signed his first paying client. Within 3 months, he replaced the income of his old job. Nothing magical happened, nothing supernatural happened. He simply created a vessel large enough for the light to enter. His success didn't appear because he suddenly became worthy or lucky. His success appeared because he finally moved. This is the missing ingredient in almost every person who struggles with manifestation. They think God will split the sea before they take a step. But the spiritual laws are the opposite. The sea splits after you step, not before. The universe is responsive, not predictive. It mirrors your actions, not your wishes. When you stand still, the energy around you stands still. When you move forward, the energy around you rushes to meet you. Imperfect action is infinitely more powerful than perfect intention. Because action tells the universe, I am ready, I am willing, I am aligned. And once that signal is sent, the doors that once seemed sealed begin to open. Not because they were locked, but because you finally turned the handle. Every spiritual law we have explored leads to one unbreakable truth. Success is not something you pursue. Success is something you prepare for. It is the natural outcome of a person who aligns, connects, and moves. When people say the universe is abundant, they are right. But abundance only flows through a channel that is open, clean, and ready. The Kabbalists distill this into a simple formula, a 3-step structure that governs all spiritual creation, all manifestation, all attraction. It is not theory, it is technology. When you apply it, you don't hope for success, you activate it. The first step is alignment. Align your consciousness with divine abundance. This means you must shift the internal state from which you operate. If your mind is filled with fear, your decisions will be small. If your heart is filled with resentment, your opportunities will shrink. If your thoughts are soaked in scarcity, your actions will reflect desperation rather than vision. But when you align your consciousness with abundance, when you choose gratitude over bitterness, purpose over ego, possibility over limitation, you begin radiating a different energetic signature. You tune yourself to the frequency that abundance responds to. Alignment is not pretending everything is perfect. Alignment is remembering that you are connected to an infinite source. When you think from that place, speak from that place, and act from that place, you stop chasing opportunities and begin attracting them. You stop fighting for scraps and begin stepping into flow. Alignment creates the inner landscape that abundance can recognize. The second step is connection. Connect through meditation, visualization, and intentional focus. This is where you tune your mind and heart to the outcome you want, not by demanding it, but by feeling it, seeing it, breathing it. Meditation quiets the noise that blocks the flow of insight. Visualization gives form to the formless. Intention directs the energy of creation toward a specific destiny. When your thoughts and emotions are directed with clarity, something extraordinary happens. The spiritual blueprint of your desire begins to take shape in the unseen world. Kabbalah teaches that everything that appears in physical reality must first exist in spiritual reality. Meditation builds the first layer. Visualization builds the structure. Intention seals the blueprint. But a blueprint alone does not build a house. A vision alone does not build a future. And that is why the third step is movement. Move forward with bold, aligned action. Action is what transforms spiritual energy into physical results. Action is what turns potential into manifestation. Action is what proves to the universe that you are not merely dreaming, you are participating. Not perfect action, not heroic action, aligned action. Action born from clarity, not panic. Action born from purpose, not ego. Action born from faith, not desperation. Every step you take creates a vessel, and every vessel you create invites the light to enter. You cannot control the timing, but you can control the opening. And when the opening is there, the blessing knows exactly where to go. When these three steps work together, alignment, connection, and movement, the channel opens. The flow increases. Opportunities that once seemed impossible begin to unfold naturally. People you never expected to meet appear in your life. Ideas you never considered become obvious. Obstacles that once felt immovable suddenly shift. You are not forcing anything. You are not begging for anything. You are simply allowing the universe to respond to the vessel you have created. But to maintain this flow, intention matters. The Kabbalists emphasize that abundance only endures when it is connected to purity. If your intention is to serve only yourself, your vessel shrinks. If your actions are fueled by ego, your energy becomes unstable. If your purpose is rooted in taking rather than giving, the light retreats, because the light does not dwell where selfishness dominates. But when you act from love, when you desire to uplift others as you rise, when you commit to using abundance for good, your vessel expands beyond anything you imagined. Blessings rush toward you not because you manipulated them, but because you became aligned with the very nature of divine giving. So, here is the truth. You don't attract success by wishing for it. You attract success by becoming the person who is capable of holding it. Align your consciousness. Connect with intention. Move with purpose. Do this consistently, and success becomes inevitable. Not because the universe favors you, but because you finally learned how to work with it instead of against it. Stop asking for success. Start becoming the vessel for success, and watch the universe rearrange itself around you.